You guys are officially part of the Team Voice It Squad.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you for the induction.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
induction.
Hi, and welcome to Voice It, the platform where we empower millennials in Kenya to be active citizens. If you're new here, my name is Winnie Kabintie. Please subscribe and be part of the Voice It squad. I'm here at Ibis Stars Hotel in Nairobi's Westlands, and if you are looking for a budget hotel that is serene and cozy and in an ideal location, then Ibis Stars is the place to be. You can eat, dine, and get accommodation here on bed and breakfast, and you can also host your events here, especially you ladies, for baby showers, bridal showers, hen parties, and what have you. You'll get a cozy, nice place. Lena, Molly, I know you have a testimony. So, guys, I'm so excited today. I have two amazing young people on set today, and we are having an interesting, informative conversation on a topic that is all over the globe right now, and this is on the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. I don't know if you've heard about them, but well, if you haven't, this is why you need to stay tuned for this conversation.
So Andrew and Anne, I'm so excited. Welcome to Voice It. This is Voice It, of course, you know it. Welcome to my set. I'm excited to host you guys. I mean, you guys are incredible. I love what you're doing in your respective places. So karibu sana, we are waiting to hear what you have to tell us. I know Andrew is excited about sustainable cities. That's your space. And for you, Anne, I know you said you don't want to delve into one particular SDGs, but then when it comes to gender, you're also passionate about that. So we are waiting to hear that. So maybe I will start by asking you to introduce yourselves. Like, tell us your names again. I know I've said Andrew and Anne, but just tell us your names and what you do, the organizations or the initiatives that you're involved in right now. So I know they say ladies first, but we want to empower the boy child. So let's start with you.
So, Andrew Ndimu, I'm the co-founder of the Construction and Real Estate Awards. It's co-awards. Basically, our goal is to recognize some of the architects and engineers and basically the built professionals who build some of these great cities and buildings that we have in this city. And in particular, we are currently running a Young Achievers competition, which is challenging the youth in universities to design a sustainable word plan and the ideal word. So that's like the size of maybe South Seas Award or Westlands, and they're trying to see how can they adapt the SDGs and sustainability, how can they build an environment that will be proud of.
That's incredible. Maybe just let me ask a few questions regarding what you've said, just in case it skips my mind. So you mentioned about Young Achievers Award. So do you have a platform where people can get those details, maybe a website or something?
Yes, the core awards operate in two sections. We have the Young Achievers, which runs in all the universities that at least have built environment courses. So we are working with the associations, the engineering students associations, architect student associations, you name them. So if the first place to hear about them will be through your association, but nonetheless you can still go onto our website and you'll be able to find out about the next competition. It's currently ongoing. The winners will be announced on March 22nd. Then now the second cohort, if you call it that, will be opened around September.
Okay, so guys, don't worry if you don't get all those details. We'll share a link on the description box, and you can get all the relevant information that you need. And perhaps again, because this show is targeted to millennials, I know you've mentioned something to do with words, and you know these are things or rather maybe statements that some people don't know. We have heard of counties. I know most people just know counties, constituencies. So when you say a ward, most people want to think somewhere in Kenyatta Hospital or right?
Yes.
So what is a ward?
Okay, so as you know, from the last constitution, there's Kenya, then it's divided into the counties.
Yes.
The counties are further divided into the constituencies, which MPs are in charge of. Then there are wards underneath the constituencies, which MCAs are in charge of. So why we are focusing on the ward is because it's the smallest administrative zone. So if you have change at that level, it kind of trickles up.
So in short, if you have an MCA, that is your word.
Yes.
All right. So Anne, this is the spotlight.
So my name is Anne Kigamba. As you've heard, I am the program manager for CWC. So what CWC is care for youth, women and children. So basically what we do in the organization. So we are fairly new. We just started out. We're like a month old. So our first pilot project will be on greening the environment, and we are focusing on the northeastern part of Kenya. So which is the places where we'll be working on will be basically 5 counties, which are Isiolo, Marsabit, Garissa, and Mandela. So these places, they're usually semi-arid areas. Yeah? So agriculture is quite difficult. So what we are going to be doing is planting trees there, not just any trees. We want to make it sort of a social enterprise. So we're going to be getting trees from this side with the help of Kefri and other organizations, and what we're going to do is plant trees on the other side, and those trees we want to plant fruit trees. So in a few years, these people will be able to benefit from fruit trees and will be generating income. So our first focus group is women and the youth who are easier to handle in such areas where they have a patriarchal community, and they believe that some jobs are for women, like farming and whatever. So it's easier to engage such people. So basically that is our first pilot project.
So I don't know about you, but for me, I realized the young people around me, they don't know, they haven't even heard about the SDGs. You ask someone, they're like, what are those? But now if you mention the Millennium Development Goals, at least some people have a clue. You know, so I don't know if it's the case with you guys. Are the young people around you aware about the SDGs, and how did you like get to hear about the SDGs? So maybe we can start with you.
So the case of people not hearing about the SDGs or being clueless about it is very the same for me. So most of the people who I know, apart from people in ISEC or people who I'm studying with, most of them do not know. They do not know what the SDGs are, or even what their aim is about. So I heard about the SDGs when I was in ISEC. So ISEC is an international youth-run organization. It's based in most universities in the world, including our own here in Kenya. So when I joined ISEC, I joined in 2015, and it was around the same time that the SDGs were released. So the UN was working with ISEC to create awareness. So they were using ISECers who are youth inside universities to sort of project what the SDGs are and what they are about.
Great. Was that the same case for you, Andrew?
Yes, it was actually. We were in ISAC at around the same time, so we also helped create awareness amongst a few of the through our programs for people to learn about the SDGs. And I think in terms, you may not know exactly what the SDGs are, but the goal of them is just to have a mission. So it's, most people are passionate about genders, like her. You're passionate about the city you live in. You're passionate about protecting animals. So all those things are covered in the SDGs. So it's not, you may not know the exact name that all the things that you care about are, but what they did with the SDGs is they tried to get, they actually pulled together what mattered the most to maybe the most number of people and put it in these 17 goals. So it's just about understanding how your passion can link into the SDGs and total.
I like a fact that you guys have brought up. ISEC, which is one thing that unifies you, and one environment that shaped you and your understanding and your knowledge. So what about that person, that Kenyan youth who has now gone to university, and maybe they're in the vocational colleges, or they're even out there in the job market, but they don't have these avenues, but they want to get involved. They want to do something. Maybe someone is passionate about gender. They want to get involved. What are the avenues? How can someone plug in into an organization or a movement or an initiative that is geared? Because one thing that I've also understood, realized, there are so many campaigns going on with regards to SDGs. There's even one for arts where filmmakers can even create content to create awareness. So how can young people enlighten themselves about these opportunities and plug in? What are the opportunities in your own understanding?
So, being aware of the SDGs. So there are so many platforms where you can learn about the SDGs. One of them is the UN platform, which is basically the highlight. It gives you everything about the, when we talk about the SDGs, it's not just 17 of them. There are so many things under the SDGs that one can plug into. And spaces like this, where we are talking about the SDGs, yes.
So
is one,
subscribe.
Yes, it's one of the key spaces where the youth can learn. There are so many people out there who are doing things, they do not know that they are working towards achieving the SDGs, but they actually are. So most of the NGOs, when you look at most of the NGOs and CSOs, what they do, CSOs are civil society organizations.
Thank you.
So what they do is their projects are structured around the SDGs. So you hear of civil societies that are focused on gender. So that is SDG number 4 or 5.
Gender 5.
Yes, it's SDG number 5. There are those like USA that are focused on HIV and whatever.
That's on health.
That's on health.
Yes.
There are those that are focused on the environment, and that is mainly like the whole structure of the SDGs. Because when it comes to environment, we have the 4 different aspects of the environment. We have the biophysical, we have the social, the economic, and the political. So as long as you're in a space where you're addressing one specific need of society, you're plugged in already.
And I like the insights that you've brought out, because one of the key things that we said the SDGs are like action what do you call them? Action plans that will guide the words. And then, as you know, like she said, the UN is one of those resources. The UN website is one of those resource platforms where you get this information. Again, we know the UN and the United Development, they fund actually most of the projects, especially in developing countries. And so these SDGs are the ones that actually influence how the funding will be done in developing countries. And so the aspect about NGOs, so if like maybe her organization is on the part of empowering women, then it's easier for the UN to align with that organization now to achieve the SDGs, and also with governments. And it's not just with non-governmental organizations, also with governments, because I also understand that one of the ways in which the SDGs will be achieved is when countries are working together. And that involves getting governments to even incorporate the SDGs in their policies. And I think, I could be wrong, but maybe that is what informed President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big 4 agenda, right?
Yes.
So do you feel as though our Big 4 agenda is aligned to the SDGs as well?
I think, what if with the SDGs, as you mentioned before, there was the MDGs before, the Millennium Development Goals. So those were supposed to end in 2015, and then all of a sudden the Sustainable Development Goals came up, and people are wondering what's the difference. So with the MDGs, it was just the UN pushing for these goals. It was only them tracking them. So what happened is, when you have only one person fighting for a cause, you can only reach so far. So with the SDGs, they have changed the narrative. It's it's a United Nations initiative. It's a government initiative. As you mentioned, the Big Four agenda tackles things that are directly related to the SDGs. You have health, you have affordable housing, manufacturing also has a whole multiplier effect in reducing gender inequality and all this. So everything is aligned. And what we're also seeing now is companies are also starting to align themselves. So like Safaricom has done a lot in terms of they have a whole sustainability department. So they spend a lot of time just trying to make their own everything they do as an organization sustainable. So ideally, even if you as a youth start plugging into certain things, certain goals, it also allows you to plug into companies better. Because if they're aiming for clean energy, and that's what you support and that's what you're targeting, it makes you a better fit for their companies. So I think the whole point of the SDGs is for us to all pull together towards the world we want. Because if we leave anyone behind, we won't get there.
Great insights there, Andrew. I like the fact that you've compared the difference, because that's also one thing I was wondering. Like, this came and now the MDGs came, now we have the SDGs. And I was wondering, okay, are we just regurgitating, or are we just, it's like resolutions? The way 2018 you had these resolutions, you didn't meet, and then 2019 you don't change. You just go there where you wrote
Go to the gym.
2019 and cancel. So thank you at least for explaining that. And I like that you said the difference was in the aspect where now they changed tax, they're involving companies. And one of the things that maybe as Kenya we can actually look, one of the SDGs, I don't know which number it falls because they are listed based on numbers. It's on life underwater, and that's on the upholding the sustainability of our water bodies, and that ties down to the blue economy. And if you guys remember, Kenya hosted the first blue economy conference. That was sometimes in last year. Was it in November? I attended, but I can't. I can. Sometimes last year in 2018. And this is where people discussed on how maybe we can actually do aquaculture more. And if you guys have been watching news, Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister, the other day, they actually launched a water hyacinth driller. It's called driller in Lake Victoria, just to go and clear the water hyacinth. That's in preparation now for harnessing the blue economy activity. So if you are awake, then you're able to see there's so much that is already happening in the country. We don't even have to go far as the SDGs are concerned. So coming on back to the Big Four agendas and the SDGs, now that we see they are tied together. So what do you feel as a young Kenyan, what do you feel is the biggest challenge right now to achieving these goals in the country?
For me right now, I think the biggest challenge is lack of awareness. You know, when you do not have the information, you cannot act on something that you do not have. So there has been a lot of campaigns, but mostly they've focused on people who are exposed, let's say like people in the universities, which is very important because the majority, the same people in the universities are the ones who go out into the job market, and they're the ones who create these NGOs, they're the ones who get involved, but there's that minority group of people who are not in the university, people who are staying in areas where they do not have access to such valuable information. So lack of information, I think, is the hindrance right now, is the biggest hindrance, and also a lack of motivation. Because when you look at the SDGs, they look like such a big thing, and people are wondering, now that we have SDGs, we have our Big Four agenda, we have our own lives. So why should I be motivated to work for the whole world? How is it benefiting me? People do not know how they will benefit directly from the SDGs. I think those are some of the key issues that honestly need to be addressed for the youth to end not only the youth, but for everyone to come together and realize that the SDGs are our future. Yes.
And I like what she said about lack of awareness. Actually, there's this popular statement we like throwing around just to feel good. They say, what you don't know doesn't hurt you. Well, what you don't know doesn't hurt you, but what you don't know can't help you either. So,
Yes,
yeah.
true.
So, Andrew, what do you feel the challenges are?
So actually, one question I've even been asking myself even after running the core awards is, are we as the youth doing enough? Because you'll find that with the average age, most of us are youth.
Yeah.
Most of us are below 25 years old. So if you're going to have real change,
You're below 25.
if you're going to have real change, it has to be the majority pushing, and we are the majority. So to be able to get to where we need to be, I think now as the youth, we really need to start taking up a more active role.
Yeah.
And as she mentioned, it's sometimes it's as simple as creating that awareness and being able to share the message with other people. And the reason why I say this is because I feel Kenya as a country, we're really, in terms of sustainability, we're really fighting for sustainability. We've hosted the United Nations Environmental Program since it was launched. You find organizations like the Kenya Green Building Society. It's the second green building society in Africa. There's so many things that we're doing that's supporting the sustainability that actually, as a country, we are pushing that. So what it just needs is the youth. That the majority of the youth to also just support most of the initiatives that are currently being had. Then I believe if that happens, then the future will be very good for us.
Great. And your insights have actually triggered something in me, something that I push on Voice It. I say I want to empower millennials in Kenya to be active citizens. And if you realize, for us, we equate leadership with politics. If you're involved in matters governance, you think it's about politics. And so I want you guys, now you're my guest today, to help change that narrative and make this young our fellow youth understand that some of these things, plugging into development issues, it's actually part of being an active citizen. It's not about when you're discussing politics and you're saying, are you in Jubilee or CORD, and it's during the campaign period. It's basically just understanding what governance and leadership is, and that way we are able even to demand that place we are demanding at the table, because we say we want to be part of that table. But if you don't have anything you're bringing, you're not even aware of the opportunities or the spaces that are there, then we can't help ourselves. So maybe we can just enlighten. You can just help me, because sometimes we just think this girl is just, So maybe you can just give your insights onto what it entails to be an active citizen. What does it mean when you're told, I want you to be an active citizen? What does it mean for you?